going to ask one more question of Erica, and then I'm going to toss it out to you all in the audience to ask our panels those questions that you're just burning to ask them. So be thinking about that as I ask Erica.
Okay.
You've had a shooting star career. Your career has really gone quickly. And I've heard you speak before about the people who've helped you along the way, your mentors. And I think that's important for those of us developing our leadership skills. Who was your mentor? What do you look for in a mentor? What did you learn from your mentor? And how do you go about getting a mentor?
Well, I was... Okay, say that again, though.
In 30 seconds or less.
30 seconds. So my mentor when I came into the company was Don Simbler. He was a charismatic general manager in Northern California. And he basically took me under his wing and asked me, and he was a person that led from situational or what's most important to you, and said to me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I said, I want your job. I said, I want your job. He said, okay, so here's what I want you to do. And he basically charted out a path for me, not saying this is how I've always done it, but saying what's most important to you, and how do you go about leading, and then chart out, of course, moving me to different disciplines really quickly. Also, when he would ask questions like, would you consider going to another brand? And I'm like, okay, what brand is it? You know, my friends were saying, don't leave full service. Don't go to Residence Inn. Don't go to Courtyard. And I said, I'll do it. And I never was fearful of not making it, because I had this inner drive, like many of the folks in this room, I know so many of you, that you have an inner drive that you're going to do your very best. So I listened to him. I also sought other mentors. I sought out women that were rising in the ranks. I went to other brands, other disciplines. I also had mentors. I had a sponsor, and I had a coach. And I say that in a way that says the mentor is the person that sees you and you see them and you think, I want to be like that person. And they show you, this is the path I've taken, you can take this path too and get there. And a coach says, what do you truly want to do? And ask you powerful questions to help you get to your end game. And then a sponsor is someone that we might not know, but they've known us and they've watched our actions. And they say, they're sitting at a table we're not at, and they say, I think she has the capacity to do it. So having all of that, this sort of family of folks that were encouraging and supportive helped me take more risks, calculated risks, but more importantly, made me know that I could do it and inspired me to do that. I will tell you that many of the folks that I asked to mentor and sponsor and coach me have been people that I looked at and they had qualities that I admired. And I set up meetings and asked, could we spend some time together? I didn't go around and say, will you be my mentor? Will you be my mentor? But what I did was I created relationships. And I always think it's important that no matter what role you're in, whether it's a person that is cleaning the room versus a person that's a vice president, that you build great relationships with people, because you never know what their path is going to be. And that has afforded me an opportunity to show my skills, my talents, and my ability, and move quickly through this organization. 18 years is not quickly to me, but 5 years, and I was a general manager of a 431-room hotel. So what's important to me is just making sure that mentors are important because they help chart a path for you and listen to the path you want to create and help you get there. And I would tell you to find the folks that you admire and that you've seen and they're doing a great job. And don't hold back and say they're too busy to have time with me, because I know, looking in this audience, there's not one woman or man in here that, if you have a desire to grow, will not take the time out to spend time with you and help you get there. So that's my deal about mentoring.
Good advice. Thank you.
And I would add that a mentor should be somebody who can speak to you honestly, and someone you can speak to honestly when you make a mistake, and to help you learn from that mistake and move forward. We all make mistakes in our careers and in life, and learning from those and growing from them, really a mentor can help you do that.
Thank you. All right, audience, who has our first question? Okay, I know that the students from South Carolina promised me they weren't going to leave me high and dry. So from our student delegation, yes. And there are microphones right here in front of me. And please tell us who you are and who you're with. Thank you. It's hard for us to see out there with the lights.
Hi, my name is David Wagner. I'm with Eventions of Florida, a full-service destination management company down in Tampa. My question for you all is, I'm a recent graduate, a new professional in the industry, and how are you all dealing with the new professionals coming into your workforce, more or less the Generation Ys? Like, how are you mentoring them from kind of continuing from what your previous conversation was? So how are you taking them and like molding them or helping them grow within your organizations?
Well, what I've learned about Generation Y in my hotels, they want to move really fast. Lightning speed, and we're sitting there like, wait a minute, I had to do, these 25 things to get to this job. So first I set up monthly meetings with the Generation Y, and that's with myself, the hotel managers, and the actual department head. And it's because one of the things we've done as parents is we've given our kids everything. And our children are used to us saying, what did you need? Let me show you how to do it. And so they come in with this sense of freedom, but they also want you to help direct them and ask questions. And I've spent a significant amount of time just helping them see, here's a career path you can take, but you get to create your own career path. I have to understand that technology is important to them, so I make sure I give them try to get them the coolest, hippest things that's out there. And then the other piece of it is just looking at their capacity and not having a lens for myself that says they have to go through these 20 steps, that their capacity may be different. So how I give them different projects, something that we want to do that's really cool, and I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? What could we do? And just letting them show their skills and talents, help them want to stick around. And I have a young lady who was the restaurant manager. She became a department head, and then she says, I want something different. I said, well, let's try a new discipline. So I moved them to a new discipline. So taking that leadership, cultivating it, make sure I understand their talents, and giving them the capacity, making sure I know their capacity and watching them grow. That's how we mentor and help grow their careers in the hotel.
So I have a little different take on the new generation coming in. I love them. I mean, I think they're fabulous.
Absolutely.
They're teaching me. It's not just about us mentoring them. They really are. We talk about situational leadership. The generational component of that, to me, is more of what I see in today's world. That we have to figure out not only how to help them grow and what they need to be successful, but I think we also have to recognize that they are the people that are helping us continue to be successful. I learn every day. We have a fairly new staff person, fresh out of college, and I'm like a sponge at her desk, learning what she knows about technology, because they're bringing a skill to the workplace that many of us, as we came through, we've learned, or we know it enough to be dangerous with it, but we're not great at it. And so I think them feeling like they have a contribution to make inspires them. And I think the other thing, too, is that I always try to pair new people not only with someone within our own department, but I will encourage them to reach out to people that are outside of their particular functional area. And as someone said earlier, find people that you admire their style or their approach, or you see where they've gone in the organization. You have to self-identify what it is that you need to grow you to the next level. And I think encouraging them to ask and not be afraid to say, hey, I want to learn more. Can I take on that project? To be proactive and to take ownership of their own careers is also very, very key. And I think a lot of times they're afraid to speak up and say what they want to do or where they think they can make a contribution. But I think the more they feel like that they're giving something to you, the easier it makes for them to interact with you.
If I could just chime in from a different perspective, because I see that generation before they enter into the profession. So, just a few months or a few weeks before you may be seeing them. And on average, for the Generation Y, the average number of years in a job, just across the board, any industry, is less than 2 years.
Right.
It's just less than 2 years. And I think that the reason for that is because of several things that, Susan, you and Erica both hit. Not challenged, not learning, not appreciated, not feeling like that their unique skills are tapped. And I really applaud what both of you said, because I think that they may be in a job for 2 or less years, but they may be with your company for a lot longer if you do challenge them and do tap into their unique strengths and their unique abilities. I mean, you may have someone that could be there for 10 years, 15 years, who knows how long as they're still feeling that respect and that challenge. And I guess my advice for you would be to communicate your needs and what you're feeling in terms of, I'm not feeling challenged, or I'd like to learn this, or I'd like to contribute. Because sometimes, quite honestly, we run at such a rapid pace that we don't take the time or have the time to stop and say, well, what could you contribute? Or do you know this technology? And I mean, you had a very good point, Susan. I mean, we may have learned it by default and just enough, I'm in that category, just enough to become dangerous. But it's like breathing to this generation, and they know it so well, and they can do things so much quicker and so much better in terms of technology. And so share that. Don't keep it a secret, and wherever you're working, because I think that you have a lot to give.
I'd like to respond, not based upon my company, but based upon what PCMA is doing, because this is a major initiative of mine. During my year at PCMA, we now have a new task force on the new professional, and that task force is charged with discussing and coming up with solutions to how to get more new professionals involved in the organization as a whole. We want to hear from them. What are the roadblocks to getting involved with the organization? What kind of learning do you need so that we can keep you involved in the organization? How do we make PCMA the location for your lifelong learning? Because we really want to provide lifelong learning to everyone in the industry. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to grow that level of membership and to find out directly from the new professional, the younger generation, what they need. Are there different learning styles that we should be adapting to and providing education in different ways? We also just approved, the board of directors will now have a representative from the new professionals sitting in as a guest at each of our board meetings. Fantastic. Because we are often making decisions that involve technology or social media, and we would like to hear from the group of people who are actively involved in those things versus some of us who have been around a while. It'd be nice to hear from somebody who, as you said, it's like breathing, and we'd like to hear how they're using it and how we can better meet the needs of that group of people. So I'm very excited about where PCMA is working, moving in this direction, and getting some input from that, and hopefully that task force will be meeting by phone a couple times, and also the foundation provided some grant money to bring them to the mid-year educational program in Baltimore, and they'll be meeting face-to-face there, and hopefully we'll write a report out of that can help us move forward as an organization.
Thank you. Thank you for the great question as well.